All right, friends, we back with another video on Jason Blaha, Strength and Fitness Bro. He's doing a Q&A talk on steroid use or some shit. Let's review this video.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, and I thought I would do another Gear Talk Q&A for you guys based upon my last set of questions, since these have been pretty popular. But up front, let me state that this is not a replacement for medical advice. I do not endorse the use of illegal substances nor controlled substances outside of the care of a medical doctor. Please consult the laws of your respective country if you're going to do this. And again, please consult a doctor if you have any doubts. All right, first question. Have you got any anecdotes or seen any science on set points? Anecdotally, I said 10 pounds more after mild cycles years ago.
10 pounds. Cycles. It's talking about getting weight, okay.
I put on 30 pounds and 10 seems permanent. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I put on 30 pounds. 10 pounds seems permanent. No steroid is going to put on any permanent weight. It's all sarcoplasmic. It's fake. All right? A steroid can't put on any permanent weight.
Of course there should be permanent changes, right? There should be some permanent.
It can aid in repairing after surgery, some devastation in your body, like a burn victim, any kind of injury. It can help and aid in that injury and the repair of it. But it itself cannot build a muscle because muscles have to be injured. And if you ain't injuring them, they ain't building. Those steroids can't help you. And nobody's injuring muscles in the gym, okay?
Changes. If you look at the research, there is data on this. We know.
I know the data. But why doesn't he bring it up? He says there's data on it. We know what? There's no permanent changes. It's cosmetic. There are no permanent changes unless you injured yourself and it is aiding in the repair of that injury.
That when they did a study on powerlifters who used gear for at least a year, who then came off for at least 3 years, right? 3 years of nothing, and then they compared them with other powerlifters who were both drug tested and said for the study, even anonymously, they had never used gear. Okay? What they found when they did muscle biopsies of their trapezius muscles, you could tell which group was in each group. Meaning, even when they double blinded it, when they look at it, they could tell later. Absolutely, the muscle fiber nuclei count was much higher.
A steroid doesn't, oh man. The steroid itself does not injure muscles. Muscles have to be injured for those nuclei to be donated. This guy is fuck out to lunch, bro. I'm gonna explain this. I should explain this. Hold on a second. Shit. I think it's So if you go in this section right here, NCBI, they'll even explain this to you. It'll say here, in response, right at the very top there, in response to what? To injury. Satellite cells are able to what? Activate and re-enter the cell cycle, creating new cells to repair and create nascent muscle fibers while preserving a small population that can return to quiescence for future regenerative demands. That's how it's worked. That's how it works, man. And then you can go in this section too, DOMS, part 1. You can read this for yourself. If you go down here to this section, it'll tell you here, the primary mechanism is currently considered to be the ultrastructural what? Damage of muscle cells due to unfamiliar sporting activities and eccentric exercises. But it says unfamiliar, untrained, and unaccustomed exercise is known to get this damage. You understand me? The problem with a lot of these lifters, they're like him. They're training every day. They're chronic lifters. So if you're a chronic lifter, it's protected by repeated bout effect. There's so many mechanisms that are going on there. You have to understand how they all work. And so you're an endurance athlete. And so you're just drawing more glycogen in the muscle using these steroids. Steroids can be used to build the muscle or give you new adaptations if you know how to use them. But if you don't know how to use them, they're worthless. They're useless to you. That's why when you come off, you're all complaining, my gains are gone. Huh.
The muscle fiber nuclei count was much higher in the people with previous gear use. We also
Again, they were much higher because they were able to lift heavier, getting more adaptations. Look, man, again. See, my chicks are always writing me. Too many women. I have too many women, man. I don't know what to do with them all. I have to buy them dildos to keep them happy. Okay, so nuclei overload training. They can't stop talking to me because they love me. Because I'm a beast. Nuclei acquired by overload. It's not a training. It's acquired by an overload. What does an overload mean? It means a heavy weight. You're using an adaptation through a heavy weight, causing damage to the muscle fiber. So the nuclei have to come first before hypertrophy exercise. See, that overload precedes hypertrophy and are not lost on detraining. That's what they're trying to tell you. And so in this map, they show you. They never say trained people. See what it says here? Look what it says here. It says untrained, first training satellite cell fusion to the cracks in the domes and hypertrophy. See that? Untrained. It said untrained there. Now let's go back to DOMS. What does DOM say? It says ultrastructural damage to muscle cells are due to what? Unfamiliar, untrained, and let's see another one, unaccustomed. Unaccustomed exercise, eccentric exercise, they see eccentric again, is known to cause what? Widespread what? Muscle damage. So unaccustomed, unfamiliar, untrained muscles get what? They get damaged. Get it? And then an absolute norm in the eccentric exercise is a so-called repeated bout effect, a manifestation of a gradual reduction of muscle damage after repeated eccentric exercise session, repeated sessions. So if you keep repeating sessions coming into the gym, you are a fucking endurance fucking athlete. And so all you motherfuckers out there are getting sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. You're getting this. Sarcoplasmic. It's an artificial type of muscle growth because what is it? It's based on ATP. It's based on ATP, myofibrillar. See that? It's based on glycogen loading. Glycogen. It's glycogen, bro. Get it? It's an energy source. So you could draw a lot of it with steroids and they create these phony muscles. But as far as those nuclei, getting more of these nuclei, it's because he got a new adaptation lifting a heavier weight. That's why I try to explain to you ding-dongs out there. I said, you don't have to look good in a gym. All you have to do is focus on the eccentric exercise instead of the concentric because it's harder to lift heavier doing full range. So you do short range, many eccentric movements as possible, and you can go super heavy and not even get injured. But you'll get injured if you try to lift heavy, super heavy, go concentric, eccentric, because the lowering part is too far and you'll destroy yourself. You'll fucking injure yourself. That's why it's stupid training. A lot of the training, the things that people train for in the gym are dumb because they're shitty trainers. You have shitty trainers and shitty people. They don't know how to get you over these adaptations and plateaus because they don't know these things. They don't want to know because they're stupid. They want to sell your product like this motherfucker.
Gear use, we also suspect, and this may be confirmed at this point, I haven't double checked on the current data, we suspect that muscle fiber nuclei count is the primary mechanism by which muscle memory works.
Muscle memory works? It's the primary count how hypertrophy works. What are you talking about? It is the primary function of hypertrophy. It must precede hypertrophy. Like it says there in nuclei overload training, nuclei overload in exercise precedes hypertrophy. Without nuclei, you can't build muscle, man. What are you talking about? The memory shit means that it's just the nuclei. You haven't lost these muscle cells. They don't get lost. They don't just go away. You understand me? You can make them permanent. Look, I'll explain this. Through a magnitude of lifting very heavy weight, you can get a donation of these nuclei. It's a possibility just lifting super heavy or doing specific things, you may lose them. But if you get ultrastructural muscle injuries, that is much more beneficial because it'll make you stronger, bigger, better, stronger, faster, and it'll be permanent. It just doesn't really go away. You understand me? Because they fuse and create new fibers. You understand the difference? And not just the donation of the nuclei.
So there's absolutely some evidence of...
When a cell gets so big to a certain point, it says, well, it'll donate its nuclei because you're stressing it, lifting super heavy. So it'll donate its nuclei and melt with that. Now, I don't know. I can't really tell exactly what that is exactly. It's a complicated science. So they say in a how should I put, gravitational unloading, you can lose these nuclei. They're not totally permanent. At some point they could go away. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly. It depends on what you're doing, what the damage is, how many fibers, were there myofibers donated, did you get more of the cracks in the domes? I don't really know, man. Nobody does.
Potential permanent changes, again, as long as you don't complete
permanent structural changes if you cause these injuries to the fiber, like it said there, structural injuries.
Detrain and stop lifting. That's what you see is when people completely quit lifting.
Jesus, again, if there are structural injuries, man. Like it says here, DOMS is a type of ultrastructural muscle injury. If there are injuries, then there will be structural changes in the body. Structural changes, depending on how much injuries you're causing to those myofibers. I don't know how much you're causing. I don't know. Nobody knows. Depends on what you're doing. Okay?
Detrain and stop lifting. That's what you see is when people completely quit lifting.
Okay, so you quit lifting. Okay, that may be just a newbie gain that you got. A lot of people, here's the problem with a lot of people. They go into the gym. Remember what we read there about unaccustomed exercise, right? So here's the problem. Myonuclear domain size. MND size has a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by satellite cell to support further muscle growth. Why? Because it's based on these injuries. But when you keep coming into the gym, you were unaccustomed to these eccentric exercise. You were when you came in there. You were untrained, unaccustomed, and unfamiliar with those exercise. And that is what is known to cause what? Widespread muscle damage. So you got it in the beginning. An absolute norm in eccentric exercise, a so-called repeated bout effect, which manifests as a gradual reduction of muscle damage after repeated eccentric bout sessions, because you keep coming in. It's an adaptation process. Repeated bout effect. See that? The repeated bout effect refers to the adaptation whereby a single bout of eccentric exercise protects against muscle damage from subsequent eccentric bouts. You understand me, man? That's why I told you, you are endurance athletes in the gym. You're dumb.
Detrain and stop lifting. That's that's what you see.
Do you need steroids to create muscles? No. What you need to be is unaccustomed, untrained, and unfamiliar to get these injuries. Duh. But if you keep coming into the gym a chronic fucking exerciser, whatever the fuck you are, fitness star, gym slave, whatever, lifting slave, what did you expect, bro? The body works the way it works, not the way you want it to work. Or this Alcida guy. Oh, muscle damage. I found there's nothing, doesn't work. You have to stimulate the muscle to grow in the gym. What? Muscles don't grow in gyms, bro.
Is when people completely quit lifting, that's when you see the guys really shrink down. And you see that a lot, right? A lot.
Yes, they quit lifting. He says they quit lifting and then they shrink down, right? All right. We'll go back here to the nuclei shit. Here it is. So when you, that is the myonuclear domain that I just read. Remember, myonuclear domain reached the ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, beyond which extra nuclei are donated by satellite cell to support further muscle growth. So that's all the growth that you ever got in that gym if you came back and you kept lifting. It's a protective effect to protect muscle from getting damaged and growing more muscle. It's an adaptation process. It protects from growing any more muscle. So it has nothing to do with follistatin and myostatin. What it has to do with is the protective effect called repeated bout effect phenomena. It protects muscle from being damaged with repeated bouts. And because now these structural changes make it stronger and more resilient. Like you can look at my community section, there's more stuff down there. I can't bring them all up, bro. It's resilient from getting damaged. It is strong, too strong, and it will not get damaged to grow more of these muscles and to get a donation of nuclei, okay? So when he said that detraining, retraining, yeah, see this, hypertrophy? You detrain, there's those nuclei. That's the density of the muscle fibers. And look, retraining. But are you getting more of these nuclei? No, absolutely not. A zero. See that? You're not getting more detraining and retraining here. Why is that? Why? Because it's resilient. It's resilient from getting damaged. You have to do something very spectacular and specific training to get that damage to come back.
See the guys really shrink down. And you see that a lot, right? A lot of guys come off gear, they cycle off and they get depressed and they don't.
I think my channel is never going to do well on YouTube because I'm too smart for you people. You people are too stupid on YouTube to understand how bodies are truly built and muscles and how to get the body and the figure and the size and the strength that you truly want. You're all clout chasing. You, this guy, all of you are chasing clout, like fake muscles, sarcoplasmic, fake strength, myocytic androgen receptor strength. All of you are chasing this kind of fake strength. The androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. See that? It doesn't control the mass, bro. What controls the mass? Myonuclei. Controls that mass, and sarcoplasmic. Hypertrophy does. And hyperplasia, they control the mass. Hyperplasia, hypertrophy control that mass. Hypertrophy just means something's getting bigger, but it could be through fluid or it could be through something real. Anyway, yeah.
Off and they get depressed and they don't train at all. That's when you really see them deflate. But when
they get off the steroids, they get depressed, and then they don't want to train because what happened was it's a defense. When you injected those crazy steroids, your body sees it as a defense mechanism. It's confused. It thinks our hormones went up because we're in a famine. We're dying because they're defense mechanisms. When hormones go up, if you stop eating, hormones go up really super high. Growth hormone, testosterone, everything goes through the roof. It's preservation. It's preservation to keep you alive. But when you inject something endogenously outside into your body and it's high, it sees it as we're trying to keep ourselves alive. But it also says there's something extraordinary going on here. So it shuts down your own production in your Leydig cells, your fucking testicles. It shuts down the testosterone because there's too much testosterone now. This is weird. We're not really starving. So this guy injected something. We're not really starving. What's going on here? Too much testosterone. We may put on too much excessive weight of some sort. We need to protect against that because we need to be pulled through a famine. That's what happens. And so your balls shrink, your testosterone goes low, you come off the steroids, you're depressed.
Start training again, they bounce back relatively quickly.
They start training again, they bounce back quickly. No, they start taking the steroids, injecting them, and they bounce back.
All right, next question. Your opinion on 12 weeks on, 12 weeks off, 250 milligrams of test per week, testosterone, cypionate, and 30 milligrams a day of anavar for
one of the worst fucking steroids. No, anavar is a very good steroid, apparently. I don't know, people take them. They say it's a lot safer. Depends on the toxicity level.
First ever cycle thinks.
They get a great short-term cosmetic look off anavar. Yeah.
One of the regulars, who's a pretty big, pretty strong guy, chimed in and got in a discussion with him saying, look, unless you have a specific reason, cycling off, and this answers one of the other questions someone asked also, I'm not a big fan of people cycling off. It's kind of like, why? What are you planning on getting out of it?
Cycling off, because the steroids adapt. They adapt like everything else. Everything's an adaptation process, and then they stop working once they adapt. So they want to come off of it because, like an alcoholic, you got to come off to make the alcohol work again because you're adapted. That's why you got to keep drinking more and more. It doesn't work anymore.
I mean, really, unless you're worried about sperm.
Just like marijuana, dopamine highs, fucking alcohol, whatever, you need to go off it because it'll stop working. You got to take higher doses all the time. You're going to end up spending more and more money. You'll be broke completely.
Fertility, in which case HCG works. I mean, you could always do HCG in between.
HCG, I don't know. They say that helps to blow up your nuts, but it doesn't bring back your balls. Once they shrink to the size of a peanut, if they shrink, they're gone. They're gone forever. I mean, they're gone, bro.
Okay, you could absolutely do HCG in between. That's not an issue. Again, look at Dr. Michael Scallion's Power PCT. But if you're going to go back on, I've never understood the idea of cycling. I get it if you're going to come off permanently or for a very, very long period of time.
They cycle because of the adaptation process.
But what I would say to most people, maintenance does. Your life will be easier, your side effects will be lower, and your gains will be more keepable. Simply go to a maintenance dose. So if you're using 250 or whatever, go to 125. In fact, if you want to solidify the gains a little bit, and I'm not a big fan of someone throwing anavar in just randomly.
I love this. If you want to solidify the sarcoplasmic gains, if you want to solidify this glycogen in your muscle, the glycogen gains, just keep doing this. This guy's retarded, man.
I'm a fan of orals in general, unless you're peeing for something. But I might make the case that if you wanted to solidify your gains as you taper down, because the taper down is going to happen automatically, right? You run 250.
How the hell can you solidify glycogen? How can you solidify the glycogen in the muscles? How can you solidify it? That doesn't make any sense. How can you solidify it? See what I mean? The only thing that will become solid is something solid is if you get more myofibers. They're solid. If you get new myofibers, they're solid. They're there. They're kind of permanent. They're there. That doesn't mean something can't go away. You understand me? Something can go away. And you can get something in return, but it's a lot harder to get than it is for it to go away.
50 a week, it's going to take 3 weeks. 3 weeks for your levels to go down to normal, right? After you come off. So even if you go down to the maintenance, it might be 4 weeks, and then your levels will normalize. That's the window when you really want to use something like that to continue.
Ask yourself this question. Where is your coach's gains? Where's his gains? He's been lifting for 30 years. Where's his gains, man? Where are they? Where'd they go? Where are they?
That's tapering down to go ahead and solidify those gains. The same thing if someone were to cycle off, that's kind of when you want to do that and do the HCG. But again, unless you're specifically chasing fertility that same year, I don't see why you're doing that. Now, if you're, newly married or whatever, I get it. And you're looking at the possibility of conceiving throughout that year. Okay, makes sense. Same concept, no. I've heard anabolic steroids improve both, but I'm not clear on what it means. Does it mean that if you need...
Are nutrient partitioning and feed efficiency referring to the same? What is these stupid words people are using? Referring to the same concept? I've heard anabolic steroids improve both. They don't improve anything. They can suppress the catabolic hormone. That's what it does. And it'll draw more glycogen in the muscle if you're a repetitive fucking lifter, bro. Ain't gonna do shit for you because you're too stupid. Compared with non-user. What? Anabolic use compared to non-user makes your body more efficient at eliminating waste or what? That's dumb. No, it doesn't.
Less of the RDA of nutrients with anabolic use compared with non-users, or does it make your body more efficient at eliminating waste or what? It makes your body more efficient at absorbing protein. So when we talk about feed efficiency.
Okay, and so it absorbs protein. How much protein can it absorb? Protein is not a storage unit. You can't store protein. You can store glycogen, a lot of it, but you can't store protein. The cells are made up of proteins. They build up and break down. But remember, they have a nuclear domain size limit. Those muscle cells can only get so big. They're not like fat cells. They can't get astronomically big and small. They get so big, and then you need more of them and then they get bigger. They hypertrophy, duh.
We're talking about in livestock, by the way. You're looking at livestock feed efficiency is where that term is coming from. That means the animal already difference. Again, people who are thinking in terms of weight classes with strength.
I love this full potential shit. Do you think someone who wanted to reach their full potential for strength would meet less gear than someone with... You're not meeting your full potential. Potential hypertrophy. And then he says hypertrophy. Potential for hypertrophy of both. They don't control it. I told you before. The strength doesn't control the mass, bro. That androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. Why doesn't it? He says hypertrophy. Because a stronger can't get you bigger, duh. What happens is that the molecules, now you got a huge influx of molecules, binding to the androgen receptor, giving you more force production. That's all you're doing. Like a woman picking up a car off her kid. She gets an influx of this adrenaline. She can lift a 6,000 pound car. Does that mean she's strong too?
With strength. Very few people who are pursuing strength.
If you get muscle fibers, you get stronger. Automatically, you increase your natural strength, keeps going up. The more myofibers you get, the more your natural strength goes up. But if you clout chase fake strength, myocytic androgen receptor strength, that will just make you good at lifting weights. That's it. You just be good at lifting them.
Set out with the goal to...
You're a factory worker.
Say, I'm going to be as strong as humanly possible.
Yes, I'm going to be as strong as you, but you're not as strong as humanly possible because you never built any myofibers. You're not. What you are is good at lifting something heavy. You're strong at lifting something heavy, but you yourself are not strong because you never built any muscle, duh.
They're often setting out a goal of, I'm going to be as strong as humanly possible, maybe at this given body weight.
No, you're going to be as strong as possible, as humanly possible, to lift something heavy off the floor. That's what you're going to be. That isn't based on your natural strength, okay? It's based on my androgen receptor strength. You're accumulating more of them because it's an adaptation process. When one adaptation ceases, another adaptation takes over. Again, I told you, your body doesn't want to build muscle, but it will give you these adaptations to lift something heavy, though, through these androgen receptors. So you're fooled. You got fooled.
This weight class, this amount of stuff I'm willing to use, so on and so forth.
I can tell you that real muscle, if you build more of these nuclei, if you bank more of these nuclei, you will live longer and be stronger even throughout your old age. You'll live longer, stronger, and healthier. You'll be amazing. But if you don't bank on them, you'll be fuck all. Because this shit, as you get older, goes downhill.
To quite conservative doses, but he's also a freak who had amazing world-class lifts dose that most enhanced powerlifters would never dream of before he used anything. If John,
all these people, they have to use drugs because they're inefficient. They don't believe in themselves because they're shitty. They're shit, so they need to take drugs. If you need to take drugs, it's because you're shit. It's because you don't believe in yourself. See what I mean? You're garbage.
doubled what he uses, what do you think the current NFL player is running? I have no idea.
See, what is this? Opinion on best tracks for endurance. What do you think current NFL players are running? Endurance?
Current NFL players are
That's what he's doing. He's an endurance athlete, endurance lifter.
Do I have a cousin who coaches in the NFL for a Super Bowl Tour de France?
Do you have a cousin? That's it. Man, this guy's really reaching now. Blaha got a cousin who fucking NFL coach. Whatever.
Is that way? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably the case. Keeping in mind conservative doses. High doses are not conducive to endurance. But it's very simple. Testosterone, growth hormone, EPO.
Oh, brother. EPO is dangerous.
I think it's the gear. I think it's the number one tanning.
I love this. Are evidence to suggest that gear use makes your face appear older? It's the lifting that ages you, and you with the steroids ages the fuck out of you.
Tanning ages your skin. Number two, the insulin abuse.
Tanning doesn't really age your skin. It's the oxalates that you're eating and the steroids when you go out in the sun. That's aging your skin. The oxalate crystals, they dump through your skin. If they dump through your skin, you go out in the sun, you're destroying your skin. Especially if you go out there too much. I don't know. Too much can be bad. But yeah, no, steroids age you.
Way up there on the list. He was using over 300 units of insulin a day. No coincidence. Because I know plenty of guys who look quite young and healthy for their age who use gear year round. I don't think the androgens so much is what's to blame. All right.
They look old. He's lying. They look old.
What are actors probably using? Anything that they can acquire legally through their doctors. All right, because if they're really rich, they don't want to deal with a bunch of black market stuff. They probably they're trying to get dry. Like they're not trying to get contest rip usually. I think that's usually the case, and then probably some FDA grade growth hormone. Okay.
They're trying to get kino body. They want a kino body, a movie body.
So it's all prescribed stuff. Probably those four things in various combinations are most likely what they're using, but they're using all medical prescription grade under the care of a physician. I promise
Yep, okay.
you 9 out of 10 times. Okay? We could argue about stuff like Anavar, to some extent also probably being prescribed to some of them, at least historically. Right? And again, probably just monitoring their E2 with a little bit of blood work. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys.
That's informative. Yes, too much, man. Anyway, so think about liking, subscribe, comment down below. Helps the algorithm. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.